1994, a Canadian journalist named Serge Monast unveiled a chilling theory that still resonates today, a global project known as Project Bluebeam. According to his research, world powers, perhaps NASA, perhaps secret coalitions were preparing to weaponize the very heavens. The sky itself, Monast claimed, would become a canvas of control. What better way to seize the minds of billions than to turn their faith, their very vision of the divine, into a tool of manipulation? Monast warned that an age would come when technology would conjure holy figures in the air, project radiant cities over deserts, and broadcast voices directly into the minds of millions. And this was not to inspire awe or hope, it was to break resistance, to unify humanity under a fabricated savior, a false global religion, Baba Vanga, though she never named Project Bluebeam, described something eerily similar, a sky of illusions, where people would gaze upward and believe, yet believe in lies. Now, imagine it is 2025. Cities across the globe wake to a spectacle. Over New York, a luminous tower floats in the night, shining brighter than any skyscraper. In Jerusalem, a figure cloaked in fire descends through the clouds, his voice echoing across languages, as he declares, "I have returned." In Tokyo, a radiant city materializes in the sky, futuristic yet sacred, while in Rio de Janeiro, millions see a fleet of dazzling ships descend in formation. The world trembles, the world bows. Would you trust your eyes or dare to question the illusion? Because the technology to achieve this is no longer a fantasy. Holographic projections the size of stadiums already exist. Drones can create entire moving constellations, painting the night with images once thought impossible. Voice-to-skull experiments once dismissed as fringe science are quietly documented in military research. And artificial intelligence, as we already see in 2025, can replicate any voice, any image, any story, with near-perfect fidelity. The screen in your hand is only the rehearsal. The sky above is the final stage. But why? Why would anyone engineer such a cosmic theater? The answer is older than technology itself: power. Throughout history, rulers have always sought the mandate of heaven. Pharaohs declared themselves gods. Emperors aligned their rule with the stars, and kings claimed divine right. If you can command the heavens, you can command the hearts of men. Project Bluebeam, as imagined, is the ultimate evolution of this ancient hunger. And yet, there lies a paradox. The more dazzling the illusion, the more fragile it becomes. Illusions depend on machines, on power grids, on flawless orchestration. They are fragile performances dressed as eternal truths. One failure in the chain, one crack in the system, and the entire sky collapses back into darkness, like mist evaporating at sunrise. The illusion fades. Baba Vanga warned us they will look to the heavens and believe, but what they believe will not be real. It is a prophecy for our generation, a warning that sight alone is not enough. We must learn to discern, for seeing will no longer mean believing. Let us pause and reflect. Already, in 2025, we live amid illusions. Deepfake politicians declare wars they never announced. Celebrity faces are grafted onto bodies in videos they never filmed. AI prophets appear on social media, delivering visions that millions share without question. The line between the authentic and the artificial has blurred. What once was confined to the glowing rectangle in your hand will soon be stretched across the very heavens, and what then picture the masses filling the streets. Eyes wide, hearts trembling. A child whispers to her mother, "It's the Messiah." A skeptic screams, "It's aliens." Nations halt their wars, religions fracture, and governments collapse in panic. The voices thundering from the skies offer salvation, or threaten judgment. It's in our daily lives, they do not perform, yet they endure. Project Bluebeam is terrifying not because it fabricates miracles, but because it exposes how easily we are seduced by spectacle. It reveals the frailty of our faith, our longing to see rather than to feel, to witness signs rather than seek truth. Baba Vanga's blindness becomes her gift. She reminds us that vision is not sight, but discernment. She saw more in darkness than most see in light. Now, ask yourself, when the heavens blaze with projections, will you know the difference when your neighbors bow? When nations weep, when miracles flood the sky, will you have the courage to whisper, "This is not real," or will you too be swept away by the storm of illusions? Project Bluebeam is not merely a conspiracy theory from decades past. It is a mirror held up to our generation. In 2025, when technology already blurs reality, when illusions are currency, the prophecy stands sharper than ever. The false will fade, but truth, quiet, enduring, authentic, will remain, while the false lights of Project Bluebeam dazzle and vanish like smoke. Baba Vanga spoke of another light, one that no hand of man could counterfeit. She described a traveler, a burning messenger from the cosmos. It had no voice, no agenda, no stage, it simply existed. Today, we call it Comet Atlas. Atlas, discovered at the end of 2019, sparked excitement among astronomers. Some predicted it might blaze as brightly as the full moon in 2020, a spectacle visible even in daylight, and though the comet ultimately fragmented before reaching its full glory. Its presence ignited the imagination of the world. To Baba Vanga's followers, this comet was more than ice and dust. It was a symbol, a prophecy fulfilled. Why Atlas? The very name carries a weight of destiny. In Greek mythology, Atlas was the Titan condemned to bear the heavens upon his shoulders, forever burdened, forever enduring. Naming a comet after him feels almost intentional, a whisper of cosmic irony. Just as Atlas held up the heavens, this comet arrived as a reminder that truth, though heavy, still stands above illusion. Now imagine it, the sky ablaze with projections, radiant cities, false messiahs conjured by machines. Crowds bow in awe, nations tremble, and yet, streaking silently across the night, there is one light not programmed, not projected. A comet, silent, steady, real. No matter how dazzling the holograms, no matter how thunderous the voices in the sky, the comet endures. This contrast is the heart of Baba Vanga's vision. The false will fade, but the traveler's light will remain. Comets have always carried spiritual weight in human history. In ancient China, they were broom stars, omens sweeping away dynasties. In medieval Europe, they were harbingers of plague or divine wrath. To the Aztecs, comets were the fiery messengers of gods, signaling cosmic change across cultures. The sudden arrival of a comet disrupted the ordinary rhythm of the heavens. It forced humanity to look upward and wonder, what does this mean, Comet Atlas? in this sense, becomes more than an astronomical event, it becomes a parable. In an age when the skies themselves may be hijacked, the comet is the counterpoint. The proof that authenticity does not depend on spectacle. It does not demand worship. It does not manipulate fear. It simply shines. Let us pause here, think about your own life. How often have you been dazzled by promises of grandeur? The perfect life displayed on social media. The voice that flatters but hides deceit. The glittering distractions that burn bright but leave your soul empty. And how often have you overlooked the quiet lights, the genuine friend who stays through storms? The simple kindness that asks for nothing. The steady truth that remains when noise fades away. These are your comets. They are not loud, but they endure. Baba Vanga, blind to the physical world, could not see the stars, yet her inner vision pierced deeper than sight. She knew that when the illusions came, sight would betray, but the spirit would discern. The comet, then, is not just an object in the sky, it is a metaphor for discernment. It whispers, learn to feel what is real, not just to see what dazzles. And here lies the paradox of Atlas in 2020. Many waited for its blaze, but instead it fragmented and faded. Some mocked the hype, calling it a disappointment. But perhaps that too carries meaning. Illusions are always about expectation, about delivering more than they can sustain. The comet's fading reminds us truth is not always spectacular. Sometimes it arrives quietly, even humbly, but even in pieces. It remains real, more real than any projection stretched across the heavens. Now, imagine a future moment. Nations gaze upward at radiant illusions, temples of light built in seconds, celestial armies marching across the night. A voice in the sky declaring unity or judgment. Cameras broadcast it worldwide, and news outlets declare it divine. And yet, amid this theater, a single comet streaks across the heavens.
You've been eyeing the
most profound spiritual experience of your life was a lie. What if the second coming of Christ, the arrival of the Messiah, the return of the gods, was nothing more than a stage production? A technological illusion orchestrated by the global elite to achieve total control over humanity. You are looking for the Antichrist in the halls of power, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum. But when he arrives, he will not come as a politician, he will come as a savior, and his arrival will be the greatest deception in human history. This is Project Bluebeam. The official narrative tells you that Project Bluebeam is a debunked conspiracy theory, the ravings of a paranoid journalist. They tell you that the technology required to stage a global holographic projection and manipulate the minds of billions does not exist. They are lying. The technology exists. The plan is active. And the conditioning phase is almost complete. The final deception will not be political, it will be visual, it will be auditory, it will be spiritual, and it will be so overwhelming that, as the Bible warns, if it were possible, even the elect would be deceived. In this deep investigation, we are going to expose the architecture of the holographic apocalypse. We will analyze the 4 stages of Project Bluebeam, from the artificial earthquakes and the manufactured discoveries to the great show in the sky and the manifestation of the digital Godhead. We will examine the technology behind the deception, the atmospheric projectors, the voice-to-skull, V2K technology, the role of HAARP and 5G and the terrifying power of AI and deep fakes. We will connect the dots between the UAP disclosure movement, the collapse of organized religion, and the rise of the New World Order. If you think you are too smart to be deceived, you are the primary target. The trap is set. The curtain is about to rise. Let's decode the final deception. The blueprint for the ultimate deception was first exposed to the public in 1994 by Serge Monast, a courageous investigative journalist from Quebec, Canada. Monast claimed to have obtained classified documents and insider testimony detailing a top-secret project orchestrated by NASA and the United Nations. The goal of the project was the abolition of all traditional religions, the dissolution of national identities, and the implementation of a global dictatorship, the New World Order. The mechanism for this takeover was not a military coup. It was a technological simulation of the Second Coming, Project Bluebeam. Monast described a sophisticated psychological operation designed to exploit the spiritual beliefs, the cultural narratives, and the deepest fears of the global population. A deception so powerful that it would convince the masses to willingly surrender their freedom and worship the Antichrist. The mainstream media immediately launched a campaign to discredit Monast. They labeled him a conspiracy theorist, a religious fanatic, a paranoid extremist. They used the standard tactics of ridicule and marginalization to silence the truth. But the elite did not stop at ridicule. They knew that Monast had exposed the endgame. In 1996, Serge Monast died suddenly of a heart attack at the age of 51. Just days before his death, he reported being threatened by the authorities. His daughter was kidnapped and never found. The circumstances surrounding his death are highly suspicious. The use of undetectable heart attack-inducing weapons, like the CIA's infamous heart attack gun, is a known tactic for eliminating whistleblowers. Serge Monast was murdered because he exposed the truth. His death is the smoking gun that confirms the reality of Project Bluebeam. The elite silenced the messenger, but they could not silence the message. The blueprint survived, and it is unfolding exactly as Monast predicted. Project Bluebeam is not a single event. It is a four-stage operation designed to systematically dismantle the existing reality and replace it with a synthetic one. Each stage is designed to maximize the psychological impact and prepare the population for the final deception. Stage 1. The destruction of faith and the manufacturing of evidence. The first stage is the psychological preparation of the population. The goal is to erode the foundations of traditional religions and the existing scientific understanding of the world. This is achieved through a combination of psychological warfare, disinformation, and manufactured events. The erosion of faith. For decades, the elite have waged a relentless war against traditional religions, particularly Christianity. The secularization of society, the promotion of materialism and atheism, the infiltration and corruption of religious institutions, all are designed to create a spiritual vacuum. A population without a strong spiritual foundation is vulnerable to the deception. They are seeking answers, meaning, and salvation. And the elite are prepared to offer a counterfeit. The artificial earthquakes and the new discoveries. The critical element of stage 1 is the manufacturing of evidence that shatters the existing religious narratives. Monast described the use of targeted seismic weapons, HARP technology, to create artificial earthquakes in specific locations around the world. these earthquakes will uncover ancient artifacts, hidden documents, and archaeological sites. These discoveries will not be genuine. They will be planted, fabricated evidence designed to prove that the traditional religious doctrines are false, that the prophets were misunderstood or deliberately deceptive. They will claim that the new evidence reveals the true origin of humanity, the ancient alien narrative, and the true nature of God, the Gnostic inversion of truth. The goal is to create a crisis of faith, to confuse and demoralize the believers, to prepare them for the new religion. Stage 2. The Great Show in the Sky. The Holographic Invasion. Once the psychological foundation is shattered, the elite will launch the main event, the spectacular display of technological power that will deceive the entire world. The network. The proliferation of 5G technology is crucial for the implementation of Project Bluebeam. 5G operates at higher frequencies and requires a dense network of antennas. This network provides the bandwidth and the precision required for the targeted manipulation of the human mind. The combination of the holographic projection and the V2K transmission creates an overwhelming sensory experience. You see the God in the sky. You hear his voice in your head. The deception is total. The frequencies of control, the emotional manipulation. To ensure the success of the deception, the population must be in a state of heightened emotional vulnerability, fear, anxiety, confusion, and spiritual longing. The elite possess the technology to induce these emotional states on a mass scale. The manipulation of the electromagnetic spectrum is the key. The human brain operates at specific frequencies. The emotional states are correlated with these frequencies. By broadcasting ELF, extremely low frequency waves, the elite can manipulate the brain activity of the population. HARP is capable of generating LF waves that resonate with the Earth's natural frequency, the Schumann resonance, and the human brain frequencies. They can induce panic, anxiety, depression, or even religious ecstasy. The integration of this technology with the blue beam projection ensures the maximum psychological impact. The population is emotionally primed to accept the deception, the AI and the deep fakes, the synthetic reality. The final component of the Bluebeam technology stack is the artificial intelligence required to manage the deception in real time. The holographic projection is not a pre-recorded movie. It is an interactive experience. The God in the sky must be able to react to the events on the ground. The AI analyzes the data from the global surveillance grid, the social media feeds, the communication networks, the biometric sensors. It calculates the optimal strategy for the deception. The deep fake technology allows the AI to create realistic simulations of the religious figures. The voice, the face, the mannerisms, all perfectly replicated. The AI is the director of the show, the puppeteer of the holographic gods, the convergence.
You can control it, and you can't control it. Nobody, if I can, he's coming now. Dragon! I see what's happening. You're bored. You want a little attention. Perfectly understandable. I'm here for you. I'll give you very special attention. Not really! You aren't gonna walk on me! If there's one thing I cannot understand, it's the queer! Come on! Alright, you can figure this out. Let's solve some problems.
Looking for thrills and chills, you need to look no further than Satan's Hollow is what it's called, and it's in Blue Ash. Now, we told you all about it. You may have recognized the phrase, the portal to hell. Well, our website posted this, it went viral, and the Now's Allie Kramer looked into it. Allie, what'd you find when you checked it out?
Well, Julie, it certainly is a creepy place, and this time of year, Blue Ash is swirling with rumors about Satan's Hollow. Oh, this is a picture of the entrance you can see. It's really just a storm drain with some graffiti on it, but it's what people think happened inside there that has them talking.
For 27 months, Las Vegas was UFO Central. A secret program known as OSAP was created back in 2008 with support from Nevada Senator Harry Reid, and actually became the largest UFO investigation ever undertaken by the U.S. government, at least as far as we know.
But the investigators for the program, all of whom had top security clearances, encountered things that were far stranger than UFOs. Phenomena that could be accurately described as paranormal.
That's when I received a full download about OSAP that stunned me. What they found in this sprawling UFO investigation is that these unknown craft, whatever they are, seem to generate spooky phenomena that seemingly shouldn't exist. I've heard there's blood on the walls.
Rick Fenbers is the thrill seeker looking for the creepiest place in Cincinnati.
First time I went to Satan's Hollow, me and my brother-in-law Ray, we went looking for it.
And just 4 years ago, he says he found it here, nestled deep in the woods in Blue Ash. The decrepit storm drain has a rich history, an urban legend of sorts.
It is a creepy place. Took a couple steps inside and our imagination playing tricks on us. It's dark. There's echoes coming out of there. We didn't want to go any further. You don't know what's in there.
Perhaps it's because Fenbers knows the legend, knows what supposedly happened inside decades ago.
Some time ago, Satanists used it as their meeting place. They would hold masses, have sacrifices there.
The narrow tunnels stretch several football fields, best illustrated by this hand-drawn map.
There is supposedly at the end of one.
We heavily went into Skinwalker Ranch, property of Robert Bigelow's. He offered a facility where we could see UFOs and the paranormal at once in one location.
How did this ranch in northeastern Utah, previously owned by Las Vegas aerospace tycoon Robert Bigelow, become a key part of the government's classified UFO investigation? It started at DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, where rocket scientist and intelligence analyst Dr. James Lakatsky and a colleague, Jay Stratton, became both puzzled and alarmed by reports about UFO intrusions at many of our nation's most sensitive national defense facilities. Residents of the Uinta Basin in northeastern Utah had been reporting frequent UFO incidents for decades, probably longer. And the Bigelow Ranch was deemed an epicenter of weird activity, not just UFOs, but also unknown creatures, things that presumably exist only in myths or movies.
Okay. Bigelow's organization, NIDS, moved onto the ranch, and its team of scientists and investigators began collecting testimony from residents, then started seeing the creatures and phenomena for themselves. Lakatsky, Stratton, and the bosses at DIA were intrigued, not repelled, by the wild story. UFOs and the seemingly related paranormal incidents might be considered a threat.
Because I could see from my organization
I was just reading a book. All of a sudden I heard a guy screaming. I turned around and the guy sitting right next beside me was standing up and stabbing another guy with a big Rambo knife, pretty much. It was a big survival knife like this in the throat. Repeatedly. Told everybody to get off the bus. Everybody started to get off the bus. The guy still kept stabbing him. Everybody got off the bus. Me and the trucker that had stopped and the Greyhound driver ran up to the door to maybe see if the guy was still alive or he could help or something like that. And we all got out and seen that the guy was cutting off the guy's head. He was cutting off the guy's head there, and then he saw us, he came back to the front of the bus, told the driver to shut the door. He pressed the button and the door shut, but it didn't shut in time, and the guy was able to get his knife out and take a swipe at us, so we backed off the door, and I ran around the backside of the bus driver took off, and then we both returned to the front to see what had happened, and he hadn't even gotten off the bus. The door was still open. We shut the bus door that time and shut it. It was at that point that he came, started walking to the front of the bus, and the head in his hand, and just looked at us like this, and just dropped it on the ground, and pulling the phone. Some people were puking, some people were crying, shocked. People running when they screamed. Yeah, everybody was running, screaming off the bus. Like when it happened, I think I was the first one to really realize what was going on and just screamed like, "Stop the bus! Someone's getting stabbed! Everybody get the hell off!" People at the front of us didn't really understand what was going on, so it almost turned into like a trample scene when we were trying to get off the bus. But the guy, he didn't care at all. He wasn't concerned with anybody with it, except the guy that stabbed him. What the guy looked like to kill him? He was either Chinese or native. That's all I can say. 6 feet, 200 pounds, wearing sunglasses, bald head. He looked totally calm. He didn't say a word. I don't think to anybody on the bus. I think he got out and had a cigarette with one girl. Nothing, just totally calm. The guy that he stabbed was listening to his headphones and sleeping. He didn't do anything to provoke the guy. The guy just took a knife. The forest never sleeps. The forest never sleeps. Never sleeps, the forest never sleeps.